I have a big smile on my face today, guys, because today is the day that Album Review TV, something that I started in my bedroom when I was a senior in high school, turns 5 years old. Thank you to you if you've been around for that long, or if you just started watching last week. I am grateful for each and every one of you. Almost 9,000 subscribers, and that may not seem like a ton of people to a lot of you, but to me, it's unimaginable. I never thought that this would happen whenever I started, so I'm keeping it short and saying thank you. If you would like to see the 5-year anniversary video that I made, it was uploaded earlier today to this channel. Click the link on screen at any time, or the link in the description down below, along with my Facebook, Twitter, my vlog channel. Everything is down there in the description. Today, I'm happy to be talking to you guys about one of the first bands that I ever reviewed on this channel. While I'm not particularly proud of this review, it's kind of what helped me get started on this channel, and I've come a long way since then, and I know that. Today, I'm excited to be talking to you about the new Weezer record, the first one in 4 years, and this one finally sees the band getting back on track. It's called Everything Will Be Alright in the End. But how can everything be alright in the end if in the end it doesn't even matter? It's safe to say that Weezer have fallen out of favor with critics over the past 12 years or so, ever since the release of 2002's Maladroit, that album that featured a lot of metal riffs, and honestly one of my favorite Weezer records. Whenever I was re-listening through the discography, I realized that Weezer have been on a roller coaster. My God, there is a lot of weird stuff in there, a lot of stuff that you just would not expect. You don't even think about it until you sit down and listen from all the way from 1994, the Blue Album, until 2010's Hurley, and you're thinking afterwards, holy shit, Weezer don't exactly know what they're doing. It seems like every time they kind of get into a corner, they call on Rick Ocasek again, their original producer from 1994, the Blue Album. He also produced the Green Album in 2001. It's almost kind of like a swan song saying, hey Rick, come pull us out of this hole that we've dug ourselves into. I think the band has been less than favorable towards what Rivers Cuomo has been doing with his writing style over the years. He's fallen into a lot of cliches and a lot of just flat out dumb songwriting. If you don't believe me, then listen to some of the songs on their past 3 studio albums. With Everything Will Be Alright in the End, I think that they've hit that creative stride once again that they had back in the Pinkerton and Blue Album days. It's honestly the best album since Maladroit, and if you cannot find yourself enjoying at least a handful of tracks here on Everything Will Be Alright in the End, you're just nitpicking at this point. This truly is a career-spanning album because it pulls from elements that worked from some of their most popular and their best records. They pull guitar riffs that sound like straight out of Make-Believe. You're gonna hear vocals that sound like something off of the Blue Album, the harmonies there, and some of the songwriting styles of Pinkerton. You might even notice something that trickles in that sounds like the heavy metal riffage that was found on Maladroit. I do feel like this album is kind of split off into a few sections, the first of those being the one that deals with the fans. They're pretty much just straight up saying, yeah, hey, we made some crappy albums, we made some really bad songs. Kinda sorry for that, I forgot kind of who we were, and now we're getting back on track. That's kind of what Back to the Shack, the lead single from this album, is all about. It's a little bit dorky, but it's a lot of fun. I found myself getting a little bit annoyed of this song at first just because I was hearing it so much on like Alt Nation on Sirius XM, and I found myself kind of turning it off, but now I've kind of come back around with the song, and I see it as being a very good single. I think Cleopatra can also be praised as a really solid single, and one of the best Weezer releases that we've had in a long time. I really like the stylistic shifts that we see in that song. It starts off a little bit slow. You're going to hear some harmonicas in there, that light guitar, the vocals from Rivers Cuomo are at the forefront there, and I absolutely love that. I think the chorus on that one is one of the strongest on Everything Will Be Alright in the End, and then whenever the shift comes and those heavy metal riffs start breaking in and just really opening this song up, that's when I really get on board. It shows that Weezer can pull off several different styles within one song. They also do that on the track The British Are Coming, which is one of the most experimental on this album, but it shows that they can be experimental and pull it off. The British Are Coming is all about trying some new things. It starts off kind of a little bit more somber, lyrically, vocally, it's restrained, and then it has those big explosive choruses. Rivers Cuomo still knows his way around a hook. While they don't always pull off experimentation as shown on the track Vinci, found on this very record, which I'll get into in just a minute, I could see them taking the sound found on tracks like The British Are Coming and maybe even Back to the Shack and running with it for a new record. I would love to hear more songs in this vein. Like I said, some of the songs deal with their fan base, and probably the other 3/4, for the most part, minus a few personal issues, we're dealing with relationships. Go Away featuring Bethany from Best Coast is one of the best songs on this record, and I cannot even take an argument on that one. If you loved Weezer back in 1994, I don't see how you could not enjoy this song. It feels very garage rock inspired with a hint of like an islandy type vibe. It feels a little bit 60s also at the same time. You can obviously see Bethany's songwriting skills being showcased here and influencing Rivers on the way this track was styled, and I think that it's just got one of the most catchy choruses on this thing. It might not be deep at all, but the thing is, it doesn't need to be. The vocal harmonies on this are absolute ecstasy. Their voices sound perfect together, and I think that this is an amazing collaboration. Ain't Got Nobody is another one of the relationship style tracks that does things right. It kicks off the album, it's the opener. It starts off with this mom talking to a daughter and then her saying to her daughter, everything will be alright in the end, and then there's this kind of light vocals that float around, and then it just really breaks into the song. It's almost a little bit of like alternative rock heaven right there. It just, you know that the album is going to be going on a good path at this point. Then of course we've got the track Lonely Girl, which I just don't see how most fans could not enjoy. Once again, this track starts off immediately with a burst of energy. It's just like bursting at the seams, screaming Weezer at you. Lonely Girl is uber catchy. It's a whole lot of fun. You're going to be singing along after a few listens, and I don't see how most people could resist it, even if you're just a casual fan. Simplicity is often what works for Weezer, and that shows time and time again all throughout this record, but I do want to talk about some of the tracks that don't work for me. The first of those being I've Had It Up to Here. The lyrics on this thing, as well as the track to Vinci, are absolute cheese. I don't understand how lines like, I don't want to be mass consumed, I'm not a Happy Meal, actually made it on to the final version of this track. It's just beyond me. The lyrics and just the production style and the way that the guitars are toned on this one, the drum hits, it just feels like a carbon copy of something else. It doesn't really feel like it has its own identity, and that makes me want to skip it every single time. Da Vinci is by far the worst on this album for me though. Rick Ocasek apparently did not want the whistling to be on this track, but lo and behold, they fought for it and it made it on there. I'm guessing Rivers is the one that wanted this one on here because he seems like he's a little bit more of the controlling type. His bandmates have kind of griped about it at times, but I'm glad that they've all stuck together through all of this and through all of the experimental phases. I just really cannot get past lines like, even Da Vinci couldn't paint you, Stephen Hawking can't explain you. It's just utterly a forgettable song, and one that I kind of have to scoff at. Two of the more serious in nature tracks that I'll mention, Foolish Father being the first of those. I really like that one because it deals with forgiveness, and you know, Rivers Cuomo had all those problems with his father, ended up forgiving him, and he's telling someone else that they just need to forgive and kind of move on. And I really like the way that that one is styled. Of course, the vocals at the end of that one, everything will be alright in the end, and kind of the choir effect that's going on there. It just works, and it leads perfectly into the Futurescope trilogy, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Of course, the other serious track that I wanted to mention is Eulogy for a Rock Band. It's another one of those that kind of deals with their fan base and not so subtly talks about Weezer, kind of like an autobiography. It speaks of like this band they're writing a eulogy for, talking about how, like, rest in peace basically after a great 18 years. People thought that Weezer were over. They were never going to make anything good ever again, and this album is just existing to prove all of those people wrong. The Futurescope trilogy is the final thing I'll talk about here. There's 3 parts to it, obviously, since it's a trilogy. The Wasteland, Anonymous, and then part 3, Return to Ithaca. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The first of those, which is called The Wasteland, is just an all-out rocker. The drums pound hard, the guitars slice right through you, and the bass line is sick. It just all is this epic instrumental that leads perfectly into the second part of this trilogy, Anonymous. That's the only one that really has vocals on it. Rivers Cuomo experiments a little bit and goes for a few different ranges, but it actually pulls it off, and it works ridiculously well. Obviously, the final track on it sends things out just kind of over the moon. It's a big, grandiose finale and sends Everything Will Be Alright in the end out on such a positive and awesome note. I was honestly probably only expecting to like about half of these songs, maybe even less after hearing the past few Weezer records, but lo and behold, they've impressed me. I'm loving about 3/4 of this album, and for me, this is a 4 out of 5. Let me know your thoughts on Everything Will Be Alright in the End, the new album from Weezer, in the comment section down below. They've been going for over 20 years now, and it's been 20 years since the release of the Blue album. If you'd like to see my thoughts on that album, I did a review back in February, I believe, so you can click the link down below. Of course, you can check out my 5-year anniversary video as well. Please hit the like button on this video. This was a very special 5th anniversary review right here on ARTV. I hope to see you back here very soon. Let me know what other albums I should tackle in the comment section down below, and check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and my vlog channel. All the links are down below. I will see you very soon right here on ARTV, Beyond the Reviews.